everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Sports to the Wire. For those of you who are actually new to the show, I'm your host, Rashid White. My boy, my co-host, Barry Burrell, is up in the house.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Pleasure as
And
always.
we have a special guest. Well, guests, plural guests.
Yes, plural.
And we have the Revelator. And we have K to the M, Kenneth Murray. Not Murray, Murray. And as you guys can actually see with the title on screen there, Brian Flores sues the NFL. The Giants claim coaching search was racist, and the Belichick's text proves it. So, I mean, I read through the actual text, and I don't know how you actually get racism out of there, but Barrick will actually break this down to us, and Kenneth and the Revelator definitely have their points. Barrick, we're gonna start off with you first. So, what do you think? Kenneth, or what do you think? You want to start the show first?
Well, I'll start. Well, listen. Right now, we're gonna converge in conversation about this. We're gonna bring all our points to the forefront. But in regards to Brian Flores in itself, um, it's a tragedy that he did lose his job. He only had the job for 2 seasons. He is a Bill Belichick disciple. He has Super Bowl rings on his finger. The man knows how to win. He was taught how to win. Okay? All right. Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, recognized that and brought him in as a head coach. But there were things going on there. Brian Flores did not agree with Tua Tagovailoa as the quarterback. He didn't want that quarterback. It was chosen for him. His system was implemented differently. So there have been situations where they didn't quite see eye to eye. But he was 24 and 25 in his 2 seasons as the Miami Dolphins head coach. Players played hard for him, and he fired them anyway. Something's wrong with that. And now we at a point now where we're going to justify it because we have something called the Rooney Rule, which I'm going to break down in a few minutes. I just want to get this thing started where the class action lawsuit is based not just on the Miami Dolphins firing, but it's based on the possibility that he felt he had the Giants job. And back in 2019, he was interviewing for the Denver Broncos job, and management led by John Elway, who was obviously the best player in Denver Bronco history, won 2 Super Bowls as the quarterback. They all went drinking the night before the interview, which supposed to have taken place at 7:30 in the morning. They never showed. So he felt disrespected, Brian Flores. So now the 2019 situations come to the forefront. We have the Miami Dolphin firing, and obviously the misled concept about him getting the Giants job. This is where we are now. With all that being said, he has decided that he's going to file a class action suit. Not just for him, but he wants to make a point for every other black minority individual who's going for a head coaching job or a managerial job, be it being a GM. I want to make it clear that we're supposed to get this job not just because of our color, but because of what we know. And Brian Flores knows an awful lot. He knows how to coach. He knows how to galvanize. He knows how to lead men. And they work hard for him, and they believe in everything he says. He shouldn't have been fired. Now, what say you, Kenneth?
Well, whether it's sex discrimination, race discrimination, disability discrimination, it's going to be hard to prove. Now, we're going to break this down to the whole point that he has evidence, okay?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's hard to prove race discrimination in the workplace, okay? It's hard to prove that, but if you have the evidence, you're going to win. Now, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits racial discrimination in the workplace. Now, if he has proof of that, it's going to get very, very interesting. Racism is bad for business, okay? It's bad for business on all fronts. But we as non-white people need to have this discussion because this is not only on the football level. How many non-white people want to go and get jobs? They have the qualification, their resume is awesome. They sit down for the interview and they don't get the job, and someone else who is white, same credentials, the white person gets the job and they don't. So this is the discussion that we as non-white people have to have, and we have to make sure that the legal options are available for us.
Revelator, you want to take us off, man? Let's get your input.
I mean, we look at it like this. I gotta say this. It's been about 2 years since I was even interested in watching a single NFL game. Since not only the pandemic, also I was actually feeling salty for what happened to Brother Kaepernick. So I'm just gonna put that out there right now. As far as what I recently learned about Brian Flores' situation, I mean, let's put it like this. You think all of this stuff happening in the NFL is just coincidence when it comes to coaches, the black coaches? I mean, that's what they actually I've actually either saw it on ESPN or I read it somewhere that there are now less black coaches than there were since the Rooney Rule came about. So you tell me whether or not that's just.
Okay, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, there's only one black coach right now.
So you guys tell me whether or not that's just a coincidence or it's been something that's planned all along, or something that's just, basically planned, because that's certainly it's not a coincidence. It's definitely a pattern. That's my point. It's a pattern. You've got less black coaches in the league now than you had when the Rooney Rule was put in. So somebody tells me whether or not it's a coincidence or not. So I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is either.
Well, I have the alleged proof pulled up here on screen, and it says, "Sounds like you landed. Congrats." And this is Brian Flores. Did you hear something I didn't hear? The Giants, and interviewed on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. And got it. I hear from Buffalo and the New York Giants that you are their guy. Hope it works out if you want it to. All right. So I mean, from reading all this stuff, I don't know. Do you see anything racist or anything like this? I mean, I just think it's. Somebody actually help me out over here.
The text message is not racist, brother.
Yeah.
The text message clearly said that while we're looking at two individuals, the first name Brian, no last name is implemented.
There you go.
Okay? That's it.
That's it.
Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that.
But this is the evidence that Mr. Flores actually has. He's actually going to take this into court. What do you think, Kenneth?
Look, America is known for a lot of things, but when it comes to black people, they are known for screwing us over. Okay? You take the situation that they did to Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick sued the NFL. Colin Kaepernick sued the NFL, and what did they do? They gave him a tryout. They were not going to hire this man. And that's the situation. What they did was they said, look, we're going to try you out. They had no intention of hiring him. This particular individual, they gave him an interview with no intention of hiring them. We as non-white people must understand the system of white supremacy and how it operates. We need to acknowledge racism, first of all, because too many of us said, that's not racism. That's not racism. No, you need to acknowledge it because it is what it is. And then we need to understand what are our rights in the workplace when we can smell. And as you can see, those things right there, those emails, it's not racist, but we understand behind closed doors, it came from a source.
But Kevin, what I'm saying is this is what he's actually taking into court right here. I mean, if you're going to make a lawsuit actually saying that this was racist,
it's coming from Bill Belichick. Understand, it's not coming from somebody that doesn't know. It's coming from Bill Belichick.
That's right.
If it's coming from Bill Belichick, I would say thank you for congratulating me. I definitely got it.
Yeah.
That's right, because that's exactly the way it came out. So again, I'll say it again. There's two Brians involved. He believes and the key part of that text was Buffalo. Brian Dable was a member of the Buffalo Bills. He was an assistant coordinator. He was responsible for calling the plays. Okay? Joe Shane was the recent hire of the GM for the New York Giants. As I mentioned to Rasheed privately, Joe Shane, when he was hired last week. He had interviewed 7 candidates, including the defensive coordinator for the Giants, who was actually black. He interviewed him. He was interviewed for the job. But this is the process, and I'm going to get to the Rooney Rule right now. This is the process. When Joe Shane was working with Buffalo, so was Brian Dable. I'm going to bring in my guy, who I know, who I can work with. I'm going to interview these guys. That's what I'm supposed to do. But I'm going to bring this guy Dable in, and anybody could have known that was going to happen. This Rooney Rule, which I'm going to get into right now, this Rooney Rule was introduced in 2003. And the reason why it was introduced in 2003 is because in 2002, 2 very prominent black head coaches were fired unjustly. Tony Dungy and Danny Green. Dungy was coaching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Green was coaching the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams were consistently in the playoffs and contenders for the Super Bowl. They were both fired the same season. The next season, Mr. Rooney, who owns the Pittsburgh Steelers, came up with an idea where at least it's introduced because of that. Now, the reason it started is because of the firing. Now, the way it gets done is that it's only a way to get minorities. This is the wording. It's only the way to get minorities in interview. That is the Rooney Rule.
But all right. So Barrick and the Revelator, I want to ask you this over here. I mean, so put yourself in this situation. You're the owner of the Giants. You already have a guy that's actually picked out already, and you have a guy. Let's say you have Dable.
But that's not factual evidence. We're just going
on my
logically.
thing is, was it just Brian Flores that was actually interviewed, or was it other white coaches that were actually interviewed?
There were other white coaches, but there was also another black coach involved. He's currently employed with the Giants. He coaches the defense. He was interviewed as well for the head coaching job.
Okay.
But Brian Flores is feeling that he was going to get the job. Based off the text messages you're reading, he had the impression that it was his job. He also had a Zoom interview on Thursday of last week with the Giants. So between that interview and, of course, what you see in the text messages, why would Brian Flores think he has the job? He should feel that way.
Looking at this, it says, sounds like you've landed. Congrats. Did you hear something? So what was actually said?
All right, listen to that. He said, sounds like you landed.
Yes,
congrats.
Don't just say that you actually landed it. It sounds like you actually landed it. Means why it could have been a hard choice between Dable and Brian Flores. What do you think?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a hard choice. Dable was the man for the job a long time ago. I just was telling you. Joe Shane, the new GM of the Giants, he is going to work for someone he knows. This is why we're talking about the Rooney Rule. You say, I have to interview a minority. That is the language. I have to interview a minority. I have to interview him.
But he ain't going to get the job.
All right. So Revelator, you actually think that I want to get him more talking over here. Do you think that Brian Flores actually has a shot here in terms of winning the lawsuit, because the Giants actually did follow the Rooney Rule? They actually interviewed a black guy. I mean, they satisfied the requirements of the Rooney Rule, if I'm not mistaken.
2 people, actually.
Can you guys hear me still?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Here's what I see, right? According to that interview that Brian Flores had this morning, lawyers have about a 64-page complaint.
Deposition.
Law, but Dave's deposition. So look at it this way. So if Brian Flores thinks he has a shot, his lawyers definitely think he has a shot.
Can I say something though, real quickly? Can I say something real quick? I'm sorry, Rebel. I didn't mean it. Can I say this one thing?
Evidence that he might have.
No, it's right. But can we say this? Can we all agree on one thing? If he's going through with this class action suit, can we all agree that it might have been just one thing that took place that is factual, hasn't come out yet, but enough to convince him and his lawyer that he does have a shot?
Well,
We don't know what it is.
like I said, as non-white people dealing in the system of white supremacy, we know for a fact that they go out of their way to screw us over.
Right.
Okay? They go out of their way to screw us over. They don't tell you up front because white supremacy is now in the refined mode. So we as white people, we as non-white people, we must understand racism, we must confront it, and we must try to demolish it. This lawsuit is a confrontation. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Rashid. You're shaking your head. Go.
You just make it seem like it's the white man that's constantly after the black man, which is like further not even totally true right there, man.
Do you deny that we?
Let me say something. Right?
Go ahead.
Let me say something, man. People gotta ask the question: is there such a thing as structured racism? Right? Is there such a thing as structured racism? Given America's history of it, you think that it doesn't exist now? Of course it does. You can't just look at just the NFL in this case, though. You got to look at all of the materials that produces all of the players, the coaches, the coordinators, all the positions in the NFL. Everything that goes right back to Pee Wee leagues. And when I say that, you're talking about black players that go in there, kids that go in, want to play football, have big dreams of becoming a big football star when they grow up, right? But then what always seems to happen when it comes to black boys, comes to black kids, black boys in particular, obviously they're the only ones that are playing football, right? So the thing is that when you're talking about like black boys that want to be quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks, like the heroes that they grew up watching, like Randall Cunningham, right? Or even the ones that are out right now, like there's a city, right? Like is this. These boys end up having end up not position ball, like linebacker or like defensive back, right? Or running back, or wide receiver. So the thing is that these boys, when they go through the programs, they go through Pee Wee leagues, they go through college, they end up in the NFL. A lot of them we know that have not started in their original positions like quarterback. They end up like wide receiver. They convert it to other positions. So Why is that? The thing is, you got to understand that when these guys get into the NFL, the owners, the coaches, they're going to actually pick these guys. They're going to actually pick the quarterbacks by default who are white. Bottom line. Bottom line here is what you're saying.
It wouldn't be so great if you think like that.
Black boys, not. Let's just keep it a buck. Black boys, black men are not convinced and not encouraged to become quarterbacks. It's not encouraged.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah,
you got.
What's your take on that?
Yeah. I want to hear Barrett's take on that because we spoke earlier and he broke it down. Go, Barrett.
Well, right now you have 70% of black players in the NFL. 70%. And the majority of these 70% of the black players in the NFL are either interior linemen, who basically play in the trenches. They weigh about 300 pounds on average, or they're in skilled positions where they're playing either cornerback, linebacker, or wide receiver, or running back. When you look at the quarterbacks around the NFL who are black, you have Lamar Jackson. You have Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, and you have a few other quarterbacks that are not starting, but they're backing up quarterback like In Pittsburgh, you have I forgot this gentleman's name. He was the #1 draft pick a couple of years ago. Anyway, you do have at least 12 black quarterbacks in the NFL, either starting or backing up. The problem of it is now is that they want to glorify some of these systems that they're running, or we're calling it a West Coast offense, and it's very complicated, and only certain quarterbacks can operate these systems. This is where it's coming down to. You don't feel like most of these, but like look at Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna use him as a perfect example. He's a running quarterback, Rashid. Okay, just to your question, he's a running quarterback.
Yeah.
They say he cannot aim and throw a proper, accurate pass, but he's the NFL MVP. He was the reigning NFL MVP. Mahomes won the MVP 2 years before. These are black quarterbacks.
Oh, I forgot to mention.
Mahomes got a. Oh, there you go. Kyler Murray in Arizona. Thank you so much. Okay. And wasn't the Arizona Cardinals in the playoffs this year? So you can't say black quarterbacks cannot take a team to the next level because they have. Russell Wilson was in the Super Bowl twice. He won one. All right? You have proven this. Black quarterbacks can perform in the NFL. With this narrative that we cannot. I am happy that Mahomes has done what he's done. I'm happy Lamar has done what he's done. I'm happy Russell's doing what he's done before and continue to do. I'm happy Kyler Murray's on the up and up. And also Kyler Murray's a big-time baseball player who was drafted by the Oakland A's. He could have played both. Okay, let's make sure we're clear about that.
Yep.
Okay?
Exactly.
We have great performing black athletes at that prominent position. Oh, Dak Prescott in Dallas. Oh, I forgot about him. Although they had...
I was waiting for you to get there.
Yeah, I left him for last because I know they're killing them in Dallas. Because guess who owns the Dallas Cowboys? You know, so we're gonna leave that alone. So, but this is where we are. But look at the numbers. All these quarterbacks I mentioned, including Dak, they all have positive records, positive win-loss records with playoffs, division wins, Super Bowl appearances, and Super Bowl championships. I rest my case. That's the way it is. We can perform in this league.
All right.
But we need more. We need more, though. We do need more. Be honest with you.
We are not going to get more as long as the system of white supremacy is in place. The definition is very clear. The system of white supremacy is defined as the belief that white people or the white people who operate in the system is inherently superior to other races. White supremacy states that white people should control other races in the political realm, in the social realm, and white supremacy does exist. We try to deny it. We try to, oh no, it's not racism. There is a dominant system that is in place, and we as non-white people must know how to navigate through these tyrannical waters.
You know what, Kenneth? What's the average salary for
Don't know. Don't know.
$50,000 a year. That's the average white male salary in this country. What's the average black male salary?
Don't know, sir.
$40,000 a year.
Okay, I'm talking about a system that is in place, not individuals.
It's suppressed too, right?
Oh, poor babies.
Yeah, $10,000 differential. All right, we're gonna wrap this video up. If you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Certainly share this video. And thank you for special guest Kenneth Murray and the Reverend for actually coming to the show.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to do a show with these guys.
Definitely, man. I mean,
brilliant individuals.
It was tame this time because normally, woo.
Thanks a lot for your invite, guys.
It gets heated sometimes between Kenneth and I, you know. But you know, definitely just hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we will actually revisit the story, and there's gonna be more information, and we'll follow the lawsuits and see if this thing actually has any kind of legs.
That's right. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys always. We always appreciate you guys.
All right, peace.